Welcome to our daily reflection for this Friday, August 22nd, which is the feast of the Queenship of Mary, who is Queen of Heaven and Earth. And so we see Mary crowned as Queen. And it's interesting that in the ancient Davidic kingdom, the Queen was never the wife of the Davidic kings. It was always the mother of the Davidic kings. And this ancient biblical tradition and custom of the house of David continues with Jesus, who is a son and descendant of David, the great Messiah and King of the line of David, and therefore his mother, Mary, is queen, and she will be queen since he reigns forever. She's queen of heaven and earth. And so that's a beautiful feast day today for Mary as we think about her queenship. And this is not some medieval invention, because in the Middle Ages, the queen was always the wife of the king. But this is a queenship that's rooted in an ancient biblical custom that goes well beyond and before the Middle Ages. Now, when we look at the readings today, what we find is the gospel talks about, Jesus asks, what is the greatest commandment? And Jesus answers it beautifully. It's the Shema, Hear, O Israel, the Lord your God is one Lord, and you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your strength. And the second is like it, you shall love your neighbor as yourself. And so it's a powerful combination of love of God first and then love of neighbor, right? And that's what we see embodied by Ruth the Moabitess today in the first reading. She says to her mother-in-law, Naomi, who is widowed, and then Ruth is widowed, and her sister-in-law is widowed, and Naomi is going to go back to Bethlehem, and she's leaving the land of Moab. And of course, what's interesting is that Ruth is a Moabite. And she says, I'm not going to leave you, and I'm not going to leave your God, who is my God. And so what we have is how Ruth is faithful to the God of Israel, the Lord, and to her mother-in-law, love of neighbor as self. And it's such a beautiful embodiment of love from a foreigner. A non-Israelite is living the Torah, the law of God, in a beautiful way. And then she will become part of the very dynasty, the bloodline of David. She will be David's great-grandmother. And then she will be, part of her bloodline will ultimately be Jesus, the Messiah. And so it's a beautiful thing to think about. Here's an outsider who becomes an insider. And it's striking because the book of Ruth comes at a time where, if you look at Judges, it's about how most of Israel is going after foreign gods. And in the book of Ruth, you see a foreigner going after the God of Israel. And so she's going upstream. And at a time in which so many Israelites are unfaithful, she is faithful to the God of Israel. And that's what matters at the end of the day, is not ethnicity, but being faithful to the God of Israel. Outsiders can become insiders, and insiders can become outsiders. It all depends on who follows God from the heart and obeys and loves God first and neighbor as oneself. Let's ponder this truth today and ask if we love God first and our neighbor as ourselves. May the Lord bless and keep you.